There it is, and here we are. And I guess if you want to be Tom Shillue, you got to read what Tom Shillue's reading, right? Obviously, the title of this video, kind of tongue-in-cheek. I say kind of because it's rather silly, but I guess, if you're going to model yourself after someone, why not Tom Shillue? You got to, you got to pick somebody, right? Who are you going to pick? Elon Musk? Good luck with that. What, you're going to, create spaceships and become a billionaire? It's hard. A lot easier to be Tom Shillue, right? So just aim, and you might get there. Okay, so this really came out of a question that Pastor Adam asked. He was watching another video, I think. I had a video where I was talking about my morning routine, and I said that I like to, before I go to the digital stuff, I like to do some actual reading of print material, whether it's a book or a magazine. And then after I've had my coffee and, I get going, then I can go to the digital stuff. But I don't want to be that guy who wakes up and goes to his phone and he's looking at Twitter right away. It's bad, right? It's obviously bad for you. It's probably bad for you to do it ever. But because I'm in this kind of world of media, I've succumbed to sometimes using these devices. But I want to in the morning, have print material with my coffee. Okay, so I made a post about that. It might have been a photograph or it might have been a video. Pastor Adam probably looked and he saw the book that was sitting there open on my table. And I bet you, I'm thinking Pastor Adam said, hey, I'm a pastor. I'll be darned if that's not a Bible. It is a Bible. Yeah, it's the Bible. So that's one of the things I read in the morning. Now you're saying, Tom, I'm not a religious person. I don't read the Bible. Yeah, you should read the Bible. Everybody should read the Bible. Everybody, okay? I also think you should probably be religious and you should read it with a religious bent. But even if not, you want to read it in a historical sense. You want to read it because it's the foundation of Western civilization. So everybody should read the whole Bible, and I never did. So who am I to tell you to read the Bible if I haven't read it? So what I'm doing is making it easier for me, because it's hard to start and just read through the Bible. It's hard. Come on, the book of Kings, the book of Chronicles, all those names. So what did I do? I got the Bible in a Year podcast with Father Mike. Bible in a Year. You read the Bible in a year, and he reads it. It's an audio podcast. So you put the podcast on. Now, so what I'm saying, I've already gone back on my non-electronic promise. I put the podcast on. Father Mike reads the Bible, and they have a great way of doing it. It's the Bible in a year. They don't go from page 1 to page, oh look, they even got maps in this Bible. That's nice. They don't go all the way through page 1 to page 250. There's probably more pages in your Bible, but this thing, oh no, it's not. There's more. It's thousands of pages in this, but they all, with each book, they renumber them. Page 70. So I don't know how many pages are in this book. A lot, though. It's a big Bible, right? The Bible's big. The Bible's hard to read. Go ahead and use Bible in a Year podcast. Have Father Mike read to you, and then you can follow along and read it. And some days, if you're not in the mood to open the Bible, you just listen to it. And they're going through the Bible chronologically, but not right from, page 1 to page 1000. They have a great way of reading it. And if you don't have the wherewithal to pick up the Bible and read it every day, you do the Bible in a Year podcast. This is part of what I like, my philosophy. Don't make everything so much work. You can take the easy way out, okay? So, Bible in a Year. I read a little bit every day, and I'm going to get through the Bible in not a year, because I'm on day 121 right now, and I've probably been doing it for 3/4 of a year. I'm not going to get through in a year. So what? Again, You don't have to be successful. You just do things. And so I do the Bible in a year. It takes me 2 years. Fine. Okay, Bible, number one. The other thing about me is I read many books at once. And I go slow. I don't read a lot of them. I have 2 books by my bedside that I read for before bedtime reading. I like to do a little bit of print reading, but I'm so tired that I only get through a few pages and then I put the book down and then I go to sleep. Splendid in the Vile is one of them, Eric Larson. I love Eric Larson. He's the author of many historical works. He uses actual material. He goes through old diaries, newspaper articles, and everything is fact-based, but he arranges it in such a way that he's a great storyteller. It almost seems like you're reading fiction, but it's nonfiction. Splendid in the Vile. This is a saga of Churchill family and defiance during the Blitz, and you're just reading all sorts of interesting stuff about Churchill during the Nazi attack on England. It's great, and all of Eric Larson's books are great. The Devil in the White City, if you want to start with one, start with that. Devil in the White City. Amazing story about a serial killer during the Chicago World's Fair in like 1890 or something like that. Anyway, Splendid in the Vile. The other book I'm reading, The Wheelwright's Shop by George Sturt. This is an amazing book. Again, it's by my bedside and I only get through a few pages at a time. This is the kind of, I'm going to give you a sample of it. It's a guy who is a wheelwright. The guy makes wagon wheels. This book was written before the turn of the century. It was first published when? I guess it was first published in 23, but he was writing about his wheelwrights business in the late 1800s and early part of the century when he was a working man making wagon wheels. And it is fascinating, or maybe you won't think it's fascinating, but listen to this. This is a perfect example. The holes being bored, and before the actual mortising could begin, a gauge was attached to the front end of the stock to be a guide for the coming operations. This gauge was a slender bar of wood, almost a lathe, swinging around like one hand of a clock, but extending 3 or 4 or so beyond the stock. At the outer end of it, a thin sliver of whalebone projected just so far as the front of the spokes would come if they had the right, quote, dish. It's a guy making wagon wheels, describing in detail the making of wagon wheels. It's a whole book. It is profound. It's profound because you're listening to an expert, a craftsman, the lost art of making a wagon wheel, and you're learning every detail of it. I mean, it is really something. Published in 1923, and I'm telling you, it is like, of course I got this from Angelico Press, the Catholic book imprinting service, because there's nothing Catholic about this. There's no religious stuff in this at all, but you can see why, why Catholics like this thing. It's profound in its very detailed, peaceful writing. It's reverence for work and its slow pace. It's really a great book. Again, I've had it for maybe 6 months and I've only gotten this far in it because I only read a little bit at a time. But again, this is why I read many books at once. And here's another example of one that I've been reading for years. I've been reading this book for years. Lonesome Dove, Larry McMurtry. Look at this. This is the page I'm on. I'm on chapter 4, page 45. What? Years, Tom? You can read 45 pages. You know, I just read 45 pages of a book. Where's the other book? I am reading one more book now. I got it when I was traveling. I'll go get it and I'll show you that. We'll end with that book. But what's the problem with Lonesome Dove? It's kind of like War and Peace. War and Peace is another one. I didn't put it here because I really haven't read much of that at all, but I try to get through it every once in a while. I know I will like this book when I finally get to it. It's been on my bedside table and I've been reading it at night. And I can't get through it before bedtime. It's not the kind of pre-bedtime. I'd much rather read The Wheelwright's Shop or The Splendid and the Vile. This is maybe a good beach book, or if I'm in a cabin in the woods or something, that's when I'm going to get to this. And one time I'm going to go on a vacation. I'm going to take this, but the book is so heavy. I never want to take it on vacation with me. I know I'm going to like it. I know I'm going to like it. Larry McMurtry, you know, he wrote things like The Last Picture Show and Terms of Endearment. He's a great writer, great with the characters, and I know people have said that they love this book. It was also made into a mini-series, I think, with Tom Selleck, but I don't want to watch that until I read the book, so I'll deprive myself of that. In any case, I'll keep in touch with you on this. I'm going to stop the camera and I'm going to go get the last book whose name I don't remember, but it's an adventure book, and it is the one other book that I am currently reading. Okay, I found it. It was still in my bag. Madhouse at the End of the Earth. Of course, this is the kind of book that attracts my attention in an airport bookshop. There was actually a couple, there were two adventure books, and they both had boats on the front of them. I forget the name of the other one, but I liked this because it said Madhouse, the madhouse at the end of the earth, and I figured maybe people went crazy on this boat. Of course, another book in the genre of adventure books where ships get stranded in sea ice. And I read this book about Shackleton going to the South Pole, and he got frozen in. And was it the North Pole? Shackleton was, in any case, this one's the South Pole. And it's 1897, a Belgian aristocrat, Adrian Gerlache. The amazing thing about these adventure books, it's all rich people. They all meet at the club, and they're dressed in tweed and everything, and they want to risk their lives to go exploring, okay? Shackleton, he famously put an ad in the newspaper, and he said, you know, wanted men for a journey, likelihood of survival minimal, or something like that. You know, he said, certain death, you know, death almost certain, or whatever. And he got tons of resumes. Everybody wanted to go. And the same thing with this boat. It's all these guys, they're all well-to-do, and they want to leave behind what they're doing and go on a journey into the frozen hinterlands and almost die. And maybe some of them did die. I don't know. I haven't gotten that far in the book. But I'm now, like I said, I got it. And I'm 54 pages. And I'm further in this book. I bought this last night. I'm further in this book than I am in Lonesome Dove, which I've had for years. I'll plow through this because it's an adventure book. As you can see, I'm heavy on the nonfiction. My weakness is fiction. My weakness is fiction. I like to read fiction. I know it's good when I read it. When I'm in a good fiction book, I love it. My wife reads only fiction. She doesn't want to read any of this stuff. She wants to read stories, characters, good writing. I do love that too, but I don't know what it is. I mean, I think there's a lot of guys. I think guys love nonfiction. They like reading about events, especially adventurous events. So anyway, love this book, Madhouse at the End of the Earth. I know it's, you know, it's probably not economically wise to be buying books in airport bookstores, you know. Yeah, it's not where you get the cheap books, but I do like to pick up impulse buy. Here, I'll read this on the flight. And I had nothing with me. I actually went to Phoenix with, that'll be another episode where I talk about traveling light. I went to Phoenix with just the tiniest bag. It was the lightest traveling I've ever done. But anyway, I got the book. That's what I'm reading. These 1, 2, 3. Okay, Bible. Take it in little chunks. Bible in a year, or Bible in 2 years. Doesn't matter. The Wheelwright Shop. Great. Splendid in the Vial. Lonesome Dove. I'm embarrassed that I'm only 45 pages in, but what the heck? Who cares? This is what it, you know. It's okay to be embarrassed. And look, I'm reading all these other books. And again, don't stress yourself out. Oh, I got to finish this book. I started, I got to finish. No, put it down. Pick it up later again. Someday it'll inspire you. And then the Madhouse at the End of the Earth. That's what Tom Shillue's reading. You should always be reading something. And, you know, if you're a procrastinator like me and, you know, it takes you a while to get through things, don't worry about it. Don't let it stress you out. You know, there's no test. You know, you're not going to come in first. This is about quality of life, right? All right.